All right, hello everyone. Welcome back. It's Sunday, so time for the usual stuff, as we're all used to at this point, surely. However many weeks in a row this is now. Anyway, welcome to the show. Hello.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks for
Looking
showing
forward to
interest.
this.
Appreciate it. Love when.
Actually looked up at how many episodes it was at. Like I looked at your playlist and it was like 80 something. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely been going for a while.
Just a few, I guess. Uh,
I guess.
I guess.
How did this end up being
How did
every
we
single
get here,
Sunday for a
really?
year and a half?
Oh man. Yeah. And the thing is, I don't see it stopping. Which let's call that a good thing, right?
Yeah,
We'll
how
be
many
here
weeks
forever.
until we get repeat guests is the
The
question.
goal is to never have a repeat,
Okay, okay.
but
Yeah, that
yeah.
would make sense. Just
I
get
mean, there's
more
there's too many
fresh
people out
faces.
there.
Yeah, just sure. Just the speedrunning community is ever expanding.
It's like the universe. Just
It kind of is.
exponentially growing larger as time passes.
Yeah,
So,
and then shaken up by COVID.
mm, that that definitely did help with the
Yeah,
size.
it's
Can't
like
argue
the
that one.
opposite effect for the speedrunning community. Not sure how the growth is right now. I'm not the person with like the peer speedrun.com user numbers, but I feel like I remember hearing something about them like still going up at a very fast rate.
Yeah, I gotta imagine with how much content there is out there now. People seem to like it. Usually gets people interested. So, I mean,
Yeah, a lot
that's
of
why
the
I'm here.
speedrunning
So,
content does get a lot of views on YouTube, like especially like summoning salt. I feel like it's really big. I feel like a lot of people just know of speedrunning nowadays. Like if you compare it to a few years ago.
oh yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like even when I started, it was relatively well known at that point, and that compared to now is even like ridiculous.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I'll be like
I'm like
watching
surprised.
YouTube, just like multiple different kinds of content, and almost every day, even if it's not like speedrun related content, they'll make a reference to it. Almost every
Yeah,
day I
it
see a
actually
reference, and I'm
is
like, what the?
insane.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it is weird. Like even sometimes you might talk to someone IRL, he's telling you speedrunning, like they actually know what it is. It's like kind of insane that can happen now. I feel like that would not happen at all like in a pre-COVID world.
Yeah, for the longest time, if someone was like, "Oh, what's your hobbies?" It's like, I, play games in
Yeah, literally. I
in a
play
way, but
games.
yeah, sometimes you can just straight up say it. Ever heard of this? And they're like, "Oh yeah," and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah, and then
yippee!" I don't have to beat around the bush.
the dreaded question was, "What games do you play?" You're like, well, it's a
You
little
play anything not
complicated.
made for children? No,
No.
not around these parts. Well, speaking of playing games for children, I guess we can get
Oh
started
yeah,
to the bulk of
you're
the
right.
episode. So
You're right. We probably should.
you can kind of summarize what you do in the scene.
Oh yeah, I should probably introduce myself a little bit more. I'm Galaxtic. I'm 22 years old and I'm from Sweden. I'm like mostly a multi Mario speedrunner these days, but I've been a little bit everywhere at some point. But I would say I'm pretty top level multi Mario, pretty top level in Super Mario Galaxy 2, which is like my main game out of the multi Mario games, and that's like the longest games, the longest game in multi Mario. So that's like the one that's pretty helpful to be good at. And I'm also a moderator in the Super Mario Galaxy community, and I like organized some multi Mario tournaments that we've held in the past few years. And I'm also a former top level Undertale speedrunner, so I've been like a little bit everywhere. But I would say I'm these days I'm mostly known for multi Mario and Galaxy 2.
Hmm. Yeah, never would have guessed you were a Galaxy person, you know? It's not like anything gave it away.
Oh yeah, my username Galaxtic. Ah, that's true. Yeah, I came up with that username in 2017, and it's actually funny. I was not speedrunning Galaxy at all when I made
Oh,
that.
okay. It's just
I
funny how
had
things work
actually
out.
done runs of that before, but in 2017 we were pretty far off the Galaxy. But I guess that's where we're getting to now, the story and such.
Yeah, although I do gotta say, it's nice when your username actually like reflects the game you play, unlike some people around here.
Oh yeah,
Whoops.
Mr. Link 2K Undertale world record holder.
Yeah, that's who I meant. Exactly. Oh,
GTA's 99.
whoops.
Super Mario Bros.
This is what happens when you make usernames when you're 12, okay? I mean, it could be
Yeah,
worse. It abbreviates nicely. I'll give it that, but it
it
does
could be worse.
not
I've had
reflect
a
what I speedrun at
few
all.
usernames actually. I was like, I think I was like 14 when I came up with the username Galaxtic. I was kind of like in that phase where like, oh, my old username is cringe. I need a new one. But then you make a new one that is arguably not any less cringe than the previous username. But then you get older and you just don't care. You just accept that you chose a username when you were like 14,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just who you are now.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I started speedrunning, my username was Mazerns. Uh, but basically everyone knows me from the Galactic era now, since that was since 2017. That's like what, 7 years now that I've had this username. So yeah,
Yeah, but you started before then.
yeah, I did. I did actually have a different Twitch account, and then made a new one in 2016 because I wanted to change my username, but then I changed it again to Galactic in
Mm.
2017. But that was when the changing username function existed. But I think it's actually a good thing that I was able to make it, that I did make a new account when I did, because my initial Twitch account was made when I was under 13. So,
Ah, yes, they would
I
ban it.
avoided that, yeah, Twitch moment inadvertently by just wanting to change my username. So,
Oh yeah,
it's
you're
pretty
like
lucky.
20 now, but your account was 13 when you made it. You're banned.
Yeah,
Classic.
the
Love that.
classic.
Well,
It would probably be a problem for anyone that's like wants to apply for partner, because I've heard like people actually get caught on that when trying
oh
to apply for
wow.
partner when they're like 20. Or I know Hex, he didn't make his account when he was 13, but he was like, he had to like set in identification or like proof of his age because they thought that he had made it when he was under 13,
Holy
which is kind
wow.
of crazy.
So you can't get partner if you made a Twitch account under 13.
Nope.
That's a decision. But
Yeah, it's
at that point,
definitely
who cares?
interesting.
I don't know.
Yeah, it is a bit weird with how the policy works, but
Like obviously
it is what it is.
kids are gonna make decisions as kids. I don't know. Twitch is weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the origin stories here.
Yes, let's go.
Let's go.
So, I think what got me interested in speedrunning was like, it was something that's, let's say, I feel like a lot of people that got into speedrunning in the mid 2010s might have been their source of inspiration. You might have heard this before, I don't know, the beautiful YouTube channel called Versus.
Nope.
You haven't, really. I feel like more people would have mentioned that. I do
I don't
know
think I've ever
from
heard of that. Really.
I do know from Average Trace YouTube videos that was what his inspiration was to start
Hmm.
speedrunning as well. So
Okay.
actually known of Trace is like 2014, because there's like that YouTube channel had like a forum website at some point where the community could talk to each other. Early internet things,
Mm-hmm.
having a forum website. But yeah, essentially, it's a channel run by two people, Attacking Toucans, also known as Tyler Cedarwall sometimes, and Josh Jepson. And they would basically just race through games together, like casually. in like 30
Hmm.
minute episodes each, and just like have really entertaining commentary on top of it. And yeah, I might have learned a lot of English swear words from
Hmm.
watching them as a kid. I won't lie. That
Uh,
is
the
back at the
true
start of my
American language.
career. Yeah, the true American language. Literally. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I think I probably started watching them around 2012. So that's kind of like a seed that planted in my head. And then like they started collaborating more with, actual speedrunners. I mean, they didn't have it on their channel, but sometimes they'd like host events for your community where like, oh, people can race along with us if they want. And then like some speedrunners would come in and just like destroy the whole competition,
Hmm.
kind of. So that's kind of how I got introduced to the concept of speedrunners. It's like, that's kind of cool.
Hmm.
So that led me to watch more videos in that style on YouTube because obviously they were really successful between like I want to say 2013 to 2016. They're like pretty huge on YouTube. So there are a lot of like I guess you could say copycat channels where they kind of like do the same format. And I watched some of it. It's pretty enjoyable. So there's one of these channels that I did end up watching quite a bit, which is called Triforce Versus. If anyone has ever watched that channel, shout outs to you, but it's a pretty small channel, so I wouldn't really expect it. So this was probably around 2014 ish. And it really caught my eye, I think, because they like were doing a versus of a Super Mario 64 ROM hack that I really liked. I was kind of into the 64 ROM hack scene quite a bit. But we'll get more to that later. That's like the next part of the story, kind of. Well, a few chapters away, actually. There's still a lot to cover. I was like 12 at the time when this was going on, so I didn't really, have any online presence with talking to people online other than like commenting on YouTube videos. And I don't remember exactly how, but there's like another frequent commenter in that comment section, who I think were like friends with the guys running that channel I mentioned. So somehow through, I guess, knowing him through a comment section and maybe having talked to him in a comment section, I like found out he streams on Twitch. So one day I watched him on Twitch, and then I just became a regular of her Twitch channel. And yeah, he would speedrun ROM hacks of Super Mario 64 mostly. And then there was some people in that chat that played Galaxy. There was actually
Hmm.
one of their regulars was a person called Linky628, which is a speedrunner who ran a lot of Sunshine and Multi Mario as well back in the day. They might still be around occasionally, but they're not super active anymore, so it's not really a name people would recognize. But this is like 2015, and it's like one of the earliest people I know. And so, yeah, we get to Linky. Linky convinced me to join a Super Mario Galaxy Any% Mario tournament in 2015. And since I already sort of had interest in speedrunning, I was like, hell yeah, I'll do it. So I learned Super Mario Galaxy, Any% Mario. I participated in that tournament. I went 0-2. I didn't care. I still had a lot of fun with it. And yeah, that was basically my introduction to speedrunning, all the way back in 2015.
Okay, so you were watching at least similar content for a couple of years before picking it up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of the origin story coming from like versus content from back then. So that's new.
I'm actually kind of surprised for that. I like know at least some other speedrunners that got into speedrunning from Versus. I feel like maybe if you had sampled the speedrunning community from 2019, where they got into speedrunning, then maybe it'll be more answers about Versus.
Hmm.
And obviously, most common answer probably GDQ,
Yeah, that's
watching
common.
some GDQ run. Yeah, probably the most common one. And what else is it that like gets people into speedrunning these days? I feel like I heard a lot of people that like got in during COVID watch like big gay content creators like I want to say Smallland got a lot of people into Odyssey
Mm-hmm.
if I remember correctly. So yeah, stuff like that. But and oh yeah, one of the most common ones like seeing Siglamic 64 world record. That was also like a
That
common
was
one.
quite prevalent back then.
I feel like it's hard. It's like hard to or it's easy to forget just how big Siglemic was back then. Like the numbers he pulled on his Twitch was actually insane.
They're bigger than most top streamers today. Yeah,
Yeah,
which
it is
doesn't
actually
compute very
insane.
well because Twitch
Yeah,
is like
it's like just
orders of
saying Twitch is
magnitude
so much
larger.
bigger now. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it's crazy stuff. Yeah. A lot of time I regret not being around in that era, but also would I wanted to be around as a high schooler?
yeah,
Who knows?
that's fair
It
enough.
is what it
That's fair
is.
enough. Yeah,
Anyway, so started with Galaxy 1, any percent
yeah.
Mario.
So my PB from back then actually still stands because
Hmm.
fun story. Basically no one runs Mario anymore. Well, people do run it, but like if people are gonna say, "Oh, I'm running Galaxy," they're running with Luigi and not with Mario. But back in 2015, we were still playing with Mario. But now it's like, okay, Luigi is faster movement wise, and there's also a 5 minute cutscene at the beginning of the game you don't have to watch if you're playing as Luigi. So basically, everyone has preferred playing as Luigi since like 2017. I want to say something like that.
Makes sense. No one likes cutscenes.
Yeah. And then after that tournament, I kept running for like maybe another month or so, and then I like basically took a year off speedrunning. Like there's like a fun thing that I just picked up for a tournament one time, and was like, okay, cool that I tried it, but then end up not speedrunning anymore. But it came back to me in like late 2016, where we get to the Super Mario 64 ROM hack era.
Mm.
Because again, I had started watching people on Twitch because of my starting speedrunning. So one of my friends who ran ROM hacks was like, "Yo, you should learn Super Mario 74 110 star." So I was like, "Oh my god, I should do that." So I decided to get myself used to 64. I was like, "Okay, I'll do a couple runs of vanilla 70 star." I got like I don't know what was it was like a 110 or something. I don't know, something like that. 2016 moment. But yeah, I did that, learned 74, played that for a few months, and then basically for the next 2 years, I became like a pretty, I guess, prevalent figure in the ROM hack community. I wasn't very good at first, obviously. I didn't have much experience with 64 at all, but I played a lot. It was like the first time I was really like fully within a online community related to video games, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I started improving pretty rapidly, which did show me results. Like I want to say, like by 2018, when I was able to like snipe some world records and such in the ROM hack scene. I played a lot of Starvenge 8 and just kind of locked in that game in like early 2018 and some world records in that. It's like a bit hard to explain with 64 ROM hacks because you feel like you get to a point where it's like really, really niche. But yeah, it was essentially that. And other than that, this isn't really spearheading related technically, but a big thing to do in that community back then and like way, way bigger, like ever since like 2020, is like doing completions of extremely difficult ROM hacks without save states. So I dabbled in that a bit. I believe I was the seventh person to beat Super Mario Treasure World save stateless, which at the time was a pretty impressive accomplishment. And yeah, because it had like one of the hardest stars that had like ever been completed by a human at the time. Then, so for the time, that was like a really really cool achievement. So that's probably like the main thing I remember the most from my ROM hack era. Like, well, other than like making good friends and actually like starting to make some speedrunning community connections. And then like until like summer 2018, I was basically only playing ROM hacks.
Yeah, I mean, Mario 64 ROM hacks are usually really cool. I mean, since the movement
Yeah,
carries over so well.
yeah, it does. And it was for me it was kind of the reverse. 64 ROM hacks is what taught me movement in 64.
Yeah. Yeah, I need to. I had an era in like 2018. I'd play them casually. I need to do that
Yeah,
again because they are
yeah,
pretty fun.
I haven't played much ROM hacks in a pretty long time now, but it definitely was a fun era and definitely definitely helped with my 64 playing in the future. 2018 is kind of like the year where I started being a little bit everywhere where it comes to speedrunning. So after this ROM hack phase in December 2018, one of my friends who I honestly, oh yeah, I can talk about this. So I started talking a bit more to people again who like part of the Galaxy community. And one thing that's kind of well known, a little well known within the speedrunning community is maybe not as much these days as it was back then, but for some reason, there at least back then was a huge overlap between people that speedrun Mario Galaxy and people who speedrun Undertale. And it's
Hmm.
really weird because those games really have nothing in common at all when it comes to speedrunning. So one of those people that are on both Galaxy Undertale, Samuel JH, my goat, shout out. Someone has held world records in Undertale several times, and also really good at Galaxy at one point. Like, really cool person overall. Shout outs to Samuel JH. But yeah, they basically taught me how to run Undertale neutral back then. And it was pretty cool. We had like a few sessions in like VC where I just like used some the common Undertale text guide and try to do things, and they were like try to help me. It's actually really cool how good the resources are for learning Undertale.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the scene. I think Shay has taught me most of the stuff I know, which is not a
Yeah.
lot because I had them on a little while back. But
Oh, let's go. Actually, I didn't know Shay had been on here. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'll get a little bit more to
you know,
Undertale
I
later.
I've heard punch card.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's
I'm
that's
very.
basically it.
That's basically
You
it.
ma
I'm
you
a ma-
mash you mash for 20 minutes, get the punch card, and then just glitch through the rest of the game.
All right, so I'm basically an
Something
expert.
like that.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Essentially an expert.
But
So this is going to be a little bit of a common theme, but one of the reasons I decided to learn Undertale is to participate in a tournament, a neutral tourney, and this time I did not go 0-2. I think I went like 1-2 instead. I think it might actually want to match that tournament, but yeah, I was very new to the game, so I also didn't like get any big wins or anything. And then again, like I mentioned, I started, hanging out with a bit more people in the Galaxy community again, which inevitably gets you to the topic of the 602.
you can never escape.
Yeah, you can never escape. Here's where it starts. So I was like, wouldn't it be cool to do a 602 one day? So it's like September 2018 at this point. The race is in December, so I'm like, maybe I'll try. So I decided to first learn just Galaxy 120 stars, because I'd actually. Oh wait, now I remember how I came back to Galaxy 1 again. In December of 2018, I ran 80% Luigi instead for a tournament. So that's like what got me back into Galaxy and talking to those people. Okay, there we go. I was like literally everywhere in 2018 when it came to speedrunning. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, so I decided to try 120 stars Luigi instead, which is the 100% category and one of the four categories for the 602. And at that point, I was like, okay, that went okay. I had like a 649, which is horrible for today's standards. But in 2018, I was like, okay, this isn't bad. Maybe I'll keep going. So I decided to go through the pain of learning Sunshine for the first time. Which, if you don't know much about Sunshine speedrunning, basically the better you get, the more fun it gets. It's so miserable when you're first starting out, and then when you actually improve, it gets fun. So it's actually pretty painful when you're starting out, I would say.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm sure Sunshine speedrunning's great, but I have only tried it casually and can confirm it is miserable starting out. I don't
Yeah,
know. I could not get into it.
there's so much jank in the game which if you don't understand it, it's so frustrating, and it's just oh my god, a bunch of RNG, way more RNG than a 3D Mario game should ever be allowed to have, and it's just like oh my goodness, yeah. But then when you start like getting to understand the movement, it just gets more and more and more fun. But yeah, when I first started out, it was definitely a little bit rough, and it was also like playing on an emulator at the time because I hadn't figured out how to like. I don't think I think for some reason my capture card had like a 3 second delay when I tried putting it in with the Wii 2 HDMI adapter.
Mm,
But I think that problem went away when I bought a new capture card. So that's probably why I didn't have any problems with that anymore. But yeah, basically I played an emulator back then, and then I think I got down my 120 shines time to like 4.5 hours, which is like, it's not bad for someone who's just started out, I wouldn't say. Uh, and then naturally, it's like November. I'm like, okay, time to do Galaxy 2. So I did like, learned all of Galaxy 2 for the very first time. It was probably my worst game, which sounds insane now because I'm really good at Galaxy 2. But yes, there was a moment in time where Galaxy 2 was my worst 602 game. Crazy enough. I'm gonna fill up my water real quick. It'll be really fast because I live in a small apartment and I can literally see the tap right here.
fair enough. 602. I wonder if I'll get to everyone who's ever done it at this point.
Yeah, I wonder
So
how
many.
many people I'm talking about this 602 by
Like
now. Must be so many.
15? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like you could swear it's like
It's
it's
popular.
if you ever end up in a friend group with people that do the 602, it's like oh my god, it would be so insane if you did the 602, and you think about it, oh my god, that phrase actually looks really cool. I should do that. Because I remember first watching the 602 in like 2016, but I first thought, oh no, I'll never do this. Like 24 hours straight of playing Mario, that's insane. No way I'd do that. And it's like you're standing there a couple years later, like, well, what if I did? But yeah, early 62 era definitely helped build up the hype. I don't know if anyone's talked about the rivalry between 360 Chrism and Value back in like 2016, but they have like an insane 62 rivalry, and it will always be like super exciting to watch and see who would win every time there was a race. Which is a bit different how the 62 is nowadays. Now, basically, odd me wins every time.
Yeah. And always gets a world record every time.
Yeah, also always gets a world record, which is insane, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I guess he's expected to win, but the fact that he still always improves somehow is kind of crazy. He just like keeps setting the standard higher and higher every time. It's actually so impressive to see.
Yeah, it's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
Can't argue that.
Oh, but yeah, back to my first two prep in 2018. I did like a segmented run of Galaxy 2 of 242. It was probably like around the range for like 11 and a half hours, I want to say, in total when I finished all those segments. Uh, and yeah, then I played 64, which I didn't have to do that much preparing for. Like I said, I'd done ROM hacks, so I was pretty comfy, just like learning 120. I think I had like a 209, which, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, I guess. I think my sum of PBs going in was like 24 and a half hours or something. Unfortunately, I ended up not being able to do the actual race due to IRL reason, but like
Mm.
IRL reasons. But like a week later, I did a 602 instead on my own. Well, I raced with one of my good friends, Sheep Squared, who had also been preparing for the 602, but I think he didn't finish in the race. So we raced together. It was a lot of fun. I did end up finishing. I got a 24:55, and yeah, it was actually really cool. But yeah, I was definitely miserable throughout like the ending of that run. I think it was my first time ever pulling an all-nighter, and
Mm.
yeah, it's definitely rough when you start like playing Galaxy 2 and there, especially back then when it was a game I was not very good at. It's like, yeah, it was rough, and I felt extremely, extremely exhausted after finishing it. So after that, I was like, oh well, it was fun to try. I'm glad I did this, but I'm never doing this again. Clueless.
Clueless. It always keeps pulling you back in.
Yeah, but now we actually get to a good part of my life because I actually took a break from speedrunning after this.
Oh, okay.
No, but
Tell us how you really feel.
no, I'm kidding. But like, you get a bit more free time when you're not caught up in speedrunning. We definitely get more back to that later as I get a little bit older. Now it's January 2019 we're talking about. I'm like 16 years old. I'm like, you know, I guess I'm in high school, but you don't have that much of a life, especially if you're like someone who mainly spends time playing video games, then you have like a lot of free time outside of school. So yeah, I definitely had a lot of free time to grind back then. But I did briefly go back to Undertale. I got sub-hour in neutral, which is a pretty decent time, and then like it was like in March 2019. Then I put it down again, and I was like, okay, I'm happy just chilling and not being too worried about grinding anything right now. I definitely think the post 602 burnout can be really real, especially if you have like a rough 602. Then it's like, God, I just need like 3 months off from speedrunning and never play any of these games again.
Damn.
Yeah, sometimes you do get burnout. But after my period of slight inactivity, we have a new theme starting, which is me running games due to rivalry. So,
Mm.
around the summer of 2019, there was someone who was getting good at Undertale really, really quickly. Someone called Cloverbugged. That's a really cool and awesome person. It bopped me. Yeah, sometime in the summer, and I was like, damn, I need to catch up. But Clover was improving so fast that in order to catch up, oh my god, I locked in so hard. And like, it was like 2019 was the year where I like unlocked some sort of it factor within me. Because that's like really the year where I started going from a decent speedrunner to a really good speedrunner. Because I improved in Undertale so fast. And I managed to like keep this rivalry throughout like basically the entirety of the rest of 2019. And I just kept going and kept going. And eventually we were both within the top 10 in like was October, November 2019. I managed to get a 56 in Undertale Neutral, which was only about a minute behind the world record at the time. And I basically did that just in the span of like a few months. And yeah, that's what happens. We have a really good speedrunning rival. You just lock in, you just keep grinding, and you just suddenly get really, really good. So that is basically what I would say about that. And then there's also turning up Undertale Geno back then, which is that's basically the slot machine category.
Mm.
It's just luck based, and yeah, I did end up getting fourth, which is a pretty decent position. I was a bit disappointed because I lost the bronze match and was kind of fluke because my opponent got pretty lucky. I mean, he was a good runner, but I had a better PV than him. But then I just like had really terrible RNG because Undertale Geno moment,
Hmm.
and I got fourth. So I unfortunately did not get my first medal from a speedrun tourney yet, but we will get there
Hmm.
later, so it's fine.
What
But yeah,
causes the RNG in that run that doesn't happen in the other ones?
so basically in Geno, in every area you have to kill a certain amount of monsters,
Hmm.
and as you can imagine, there are a wide array of different encounters you can get in every area, and it also varies how long it takes to get an encounter. And some encounters will make you be able to increase your kill count way more. For example, if you're in ruins, you could get a single mold small, a double mold small, or a triple mold small. And obviously, getting a triple is the best because then you get three in one encounter and you don't have to grind out another encounter for more kills. There's
Hmm.
also some enemies might take one hit to kill, while some take two hits. So then it's faster to get encounters where you can get a one hit KO. So there's not a lot that goes into RNG, and it gives a ton of variability in certain areas,
Okay.
I would say. And then in
Got
neutral, you there's basically only a bunch of RNG in the beginning because there's some rooms where it's RNG whether you get an encounter or not, and the first boss fight tutorial is like dependent on getting a certain attack to cancel her turn faster to save a few seconds every turn. So it's really RNG heavy at the start, but then once you get the punch card, it's basically just like all
it.
skill based in neutral. So
Okay.
that's kind of how it works, which makes grinding it very painful sometimes because like, oh no, I made a mistake. I have to reset. I'm now going back to reset hell, waiting
To
for
the
good
roulette.
RNG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love RNG, I say totally unsarcastically. So this is why I play
Yeah.
Mario 1 anyway.
Yeah. RNG mixed with skill is quite a miserable combination, I will say.
Yeah. That's why I can't play Mario 3 for too long. Especially like shorter categories where you still have to like go through the hands or something. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
I love having a 1 in 8 chance in my 10-minute run.
Yeah, it's
Yippee!
so much fun. Oh, but it can bring some excitement to runs as well. But it's also a lot of frustration from a runner's perspective, we'll say. But it's 2020 now. We all know what happens in 2020.
Yeah.
The funny little virus thing.
Funny.
Uh, but yeah, what I remember from 2020, I kept improving in Undertale through the early part of the year when the COVID were first hitting, and what else did I do in early 2020? Oh yeah, I think there's like one of the first major skip discoveries. So Undertale had been a pretty small community when I first joined it. Like with both tournaments, like 2018, 19, we only had like 20-ish participants. Like it had been on the down for quite a while, I'll say. And where was it even going with this? I mean, yeah, I definitely think. Oh yeah, skip discovery, right? So one of the first major skip discoveries in years is kind of one of the things that sparked some life into the game. Like might have helped get more people interested, and that was the seagrass skip, which is interesting because we started to find like several skips and like this game is broken even without the punch card. Like you just do a funny thing with like the cell phone in the menu and like allows you to skip a cutscene. And it's like I don't remember the exact mechanics and the game behind that, but it's like yeah, it's Undertale is a very well programmed video game and that was like a 30-second time save.
Well, gotta love the new skips when they show up.
Yeah. So in summer of 2020, returning pattern. I returned to Super Mario Galaxy 2 because there is a tournament being hosted of any percent. So I decide with my newfound skills from this Undertale era that I am going to lock in and I'm gonna get good at this game. I want to get as good as possible for this tournament. So now I'm gonna share a little bit of a funny story. I come back to relearning SMG2. I think my first run is probably like in the 340s or something like that. And then my second run, I improved that quite a bit. I want to say, was I like really close to getting sub 330 or something like that? Something like that. But there is this guy at the end of the round that came into my chat. You might have heard of him. His name is Hex Speedrun.
Hmm.
And he was like, how the fuck did you almost bot me on your second round? And yeah, he apparently was pretty pissed about that. And that kind of started a bit of a rivalry between me and Hex that lasted for like about a year. And it's really funny that we started out having like a low key beef because we're actually like really good friends now.
Like legitimate beef, angry.
Not really legit,
No.
like a little bit. I mean, we weren't friends and we like low key had beef.
Okay.
Like, it wasn't like, it was more of a competitive beef more than like not liking each other as people, but it's like it was a bit. I wouldn't say it was toxic, but it was it was definitely like not I can't let this motherfucker have a better time than me on the
Okay.
leaderboard. It's kind of like that.
Sure.
Like I we're still talking each other chats and stuff. It wasn't like hate. It was like a bit of a fun little rivalry.
I guess it helps with the motivation, so it can't be all
Yeah,
too
it
bad.
definitely helps with the motivation. But I got pretty decent in Galaxy 2. I got like around the 315 range. I found another rival in Keegan. We faced each other twice in the tournament, had good races both times. I lost both times, unfortunately, but the first time I lost was in a group, and second time I lost was there was like a match before the bracket started where you like decided your seating for the bracket. It was like a bit weird that tourney was set up. The group stage was like a double elimination. So if you lost twice in the group, you were out of the tournament. And then if you like, so basically, it was like a bracket where four people from each group advance out of an eight-person group. So yeah, I lost my first game to Keegan. My second game, which was the game I needed to win to stay in the tournament and make the bracket, was against a runner called Pidgey, who is really good at New Super Mario Bros. Wii, but he has run a bit of Galaxy as well. Uh, but I think his PB was maybe like a 315, and this is early in the tourney, so my PB was like a 3. Was it like a 319, something like that? It was several minutes worse, and I was like pretty much expecting to lose. And then I had like the most insane match ever where I just locked in and PB'd by 5 minutes and I
Oh.
won and I stayed in the tournament. And I was like, it was just so insane. That's like one of the defining moments where of my speedrunning career where I was like, I absolutely love doing this, and this was so much fun. And yeah, that competitive side of speedrunning, that's like with tournaments, and when like that goes really well, it's just so much fun, in my opinion.
Hmm. So you beat his PB
Yeah, I
mathematically.
think, or I'm trying to think what his PB was. Was his PB like even faster than that? Maybe I
Hmm.
didn't bop him, but it was something like that. I think he played pretty close to his PB, but like didn't beat it, and then I got a pretty big PB and won. So it was something like that. Then so I went to the bracket. I faced seed one in the round of 16, which is Hardcore Gaming '07, another Galaxy legend, and I just thought it was really cool that I got to face him. And I lost. He had like a really good run. It wasn't like even close, but I was like, okay, I made the bracket. I exceeded my expectations. This was really cool. I'm glad I participated in this. So that maybe like decide to like I learned greens as well and decided to try playing greens again, like and like get an actually decent time. I think I got like something in the 330s in greens instead of like a 4 hour time, which I haven't did the 602 prep in. 2018. So I decided to try that a bit, but didn't do a 602 yet. We come back to when I get pulled into that. For now, I'm still making sensible decisions and not doing any 602s. So
Just a just a little bit of hate.
yeah, just a little bit of hate. I mean, 602 is just very much of a love hate relationship. It's like because it's such a fun run, it's such a fun community thing, but it's just like it's really exhausting and it's really frustrating when it doesn't go your way. When you like put a bunch of time into preparation. It's a big time sink. That's like the way you can put it. But now we get to 2021, where I took a little bit of a minor break. On Christmas 2020, a game I've been anticipating for a really long time came out called Omori, which is an awesome game. If you haven't played Omori, you should play it. It's really cool. Cool little psychological horror indie RPG. It's really nice. And I decided, like, when I immediately played, I was like, oh, I'm gonna speedrun this. So I spent, like, honestly, like 2 months or something speedrunning Omori, and I held world record a couple times. There's like one run I got was like really, really good for its time, like several minute PV. I got pretty good RNG throughout the run. That's like a 4 hour run at the time, by the way. And I was like, okay, hell yeah, I got this world record. I'm goated. The next day, they release an update which allows you to skip through text.
Wow.
Which is kind of insane. And there's like, in a way, that made my run that I got the previous day a bit more like immortalized because like okay, this is the old era runs, and but yeah, I did have fun with that for a couple of months. But Omori is definitely very interesting speedrunning. It has gotten insanely glitched over the last few years, and now like watching an Omori speedrun now as someone who hasn't played the game in years, there's just so many things that I probably wouldn't understand at all. It's actually kind of crazy how much it's developed. But yeah, that was fun. But what cut my Omori speedrunning short was in February 2021, there was another major glitch discovery in Undertale.
Hmm.
So we go back there, and this time it's Mad Dummy Skip, which was basically the holy grail of Undertale speedrunning. It was like something that had been theorized and joked about for years. So when it was actually possible, is kind of insane. The caveat is just like that is basically like the hardest trick of the run by far, especially at the time when like people didn't understand it. So you basically just be spamming attempts of it and just like not being able to get anywhere. And yeah, it was definitely pretty painful to lose a lot of runs to that. But one thing was, you might have remembered how I said earlier that was around like a minute off the world record. And this skip that just was discovered saves like a minute. So with the save of that skip, I was like, I could get world record right now. So I just started grinding. I tried my hardest, and eventually I got a run. Like a couple days after skip was discovered, so no one else at the top had time to finish a decent run with it yet. And I got to the Ascor fight on world record pace. And basically, the Ascor fight, if you don't know about Undertale, I don't know if Shay explained this to you, but that's basically the last part of a neutral run that matters because Flowey that comes right after is just an auto scroller. But Ascor, there's a thing you can do with the Undertale weapon, Burnt Pan, it allows you to hit quads. So basically, you hit 4 times in like a bar to attack with the Burnt Pan, and if you hit all 4 of those frame perfectly, you get like twice as much damage as you otherwise would have made, which is called a quad. So optimally, you finish that fight in 9 turns, which is called a task score. Uh, but that requires yeah 9 quads in a row, which is kind of insane. So
So 36 frame
what I
perfects.
yeah, basically.
Okay.
So what I normally try to aim for in round would be like be a 10 turn or 11 turn. A 10 turn, they need to hit 8 out of 10 quads, and 11 is like 7 out of 11 quads. I want to say, yeah, something like that. Or I think it can work with 6 if you get good damage rolls. Uh, so basically, I went into this fight. I think I needed an 11 turn to get world record, which was more than reasonable. And I just completely choke it and get a 13 turn, which was really sad. But I still got second place, which was my highest ever scoring on the leaderboard. And it did get beaten fairly quickly since it was like a new skip, but it was like just really cool to be at that height. Because I think that was like the first time in my speedrunning career. I was like, wow, I can actually get a world record in this like pretty heavily contested game. I'm actually like really good at this. What? That was like really just a crazy realization that I could be like that good at something. And yeah, even if I did not end up getting the world record, it was like just really cool to have that opportunity and yeah, I feel like I know how to play this game super well. I'm crap at this. I don't know. You might be able to relate to that when you like finally feel like, oh my god, I'm actually good at this game.
I've never felt that way. No. But so that skip, how does it like what is it? How does it work?
Oh my. Okay. Let's see. So Mad Dummy skip. I'm trying. I'm trying to think. Like, okay. So I think what you do. Obviously, you need a punch card. So the reason you can't do the skip normally is because even if you skip the trigger for the cutscene with the punch card, there's an invisible wall that blocks the exit, like in that version of the cutscene, which for some reason Toby Fox thought to put up for Mad Dummy, but like nowhere else in the rest of the game. Yeah, so but cool that he added that failsafe there. And there's like some really weird mechanic that you can do. So if you enter the fight uh, on the same frame as you leave the room, I believe it is. I might be wrong, but I just know because I don't remember the exact like mechanics of it, but I do know that you will like leave the room at the same frame as the fight starts. Then you play through the fight and you like have to die intentionally. And then if it works as intended, uh you basically like trick the game into thinking you finish the fight
Hmm.
after you come respawn after dying, and it puts you like in the cutscene afterwards where you just talk to an absolute as if you finished the fight. I
Sure.
believe it has something to do with like the persistence glitch, I think it might be called, which is like a really weird property with like how a room loads in. It's it's pretty complicated, but which is why it took so long to figure out. But yeah, it is definitely an interesting skip.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. So naturally, uh, I come back to Super Mario Galaxy 2 a few months later after getting tired of being stuck resetting in ruins. So this time I improve even more in Galaxy 2. I get sub 310 in 80%, which I would say is a pretty good time. I was like top 15, top 20 at the time, maybe something like that. So starting to get pretty decent. I decided to try Green Stars again at the time, and I managed to first get a 310, and then actually I get a 307 because I like spending quite a bit of time just like pushing down my time in that category, and it's like probably one of the less popular categories. So I believe that 307 actually got me to fourth place in that category. And then I decided to actually try a 242. And at this point, I spent a lot of time playing Galaxy 2. I'm pretty well averse to the mechanics of the game. So my first ever full run that I do since the 2018 62 prep, when my PB was an 11-hour time, I get a 931, which to my knowledge is might be the fastest first sub 10 anyone's ever gotten.
Hmm.
So that's actually kind of a cool stat. I think there might be someone who might have gotten it faster, but like not as far as I'm aware, because I feel like a lot of people who are good in 242 did like start running it pretty early on in their Galaxy 2 career, meaning they like might like had like a grind for sub 10. But for me, I'd like already gotten pretty decent at all other categories and decided to try 242. That's kind of how I got in that path. And then later that fall, I improved even further. I skipped 92X and got a 919 in 242 stars. And I was like, wait, I'm actually kind of good at this. What if I did this 602?
We're back.
We're back to the 602. And I, now I got all this knowledge from my Undertale speedrunning, getting second in actually, right here, I forgot something from my notes. In 2020, there was another Undertale neutral tournament that was a bit smaller scale because it was not hosted by a community server. It's like hosted by a esports team, kind of that they like
Hmm.
had some Undertale people were running at the time, and I managed to get second place in that tournament, which was my first podium position in any tournament I was ever in, and it was really cool. And the final was against my rival, Clover, who I talked about earlier. So it was actually really cool. Another fun fact about that tournament is in the semifinals, I beat Mr. Lincoln Runner at the time.
No.
That was
Okay.
before he was the world record holder. And now it feels really weird to say it because he's just like the undisputed GOAT of Undertale at this point in terms of world record times. I think he has like does he have like 3 out of the 5 world records in the 5 main categories? It's either 3 or 4 of them, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that tournament was also pretty fun to participate in. And getting second place was definitely fun.
You said it was
But
hosted
yeah,
by like
back.
esport people.
Uh,
What?
well, it was like a quote unquote esports organization. It's like one of those.
Okay.
Uh, because it was called Kabam Esports, right? And it was basically just hosted by a few people within the Undertale community who thought it'd be like a fun thing to like organize to, I guess, host events and such.
Okay.
I don't remember the exact thing was about, but it was something like that. It was a few years ago, but yeah, it was fun to participate in that tournament. Generally, with like speedrunning related to like people making esports organization, I'm a bit like I'm not fully sure I see it with how it serves what purpose it serves personally. But I definitely can see it like help with like organizing some events potentially, but maybe there is some unexplored potential there. Who knows?
Yeah. It sounded professional. I didn't know how professional it was.
Yeah, no, I wasn't professional. I should have clarified. It
All
was
right. All
not
right.
very professional. But yeah, I did decide to do the 602 again, and having all this, I guess, being pretty good at speedrunning at this point and having quite a bit of free time. Well, I just started university, but I think I managed to like just lock in and balance the free time pretty well. I managed to get a decent time in Sunshine. I got sub 4. I got sub 6 in Galaxy 1, and suddenly I was having a really good estimate despite like not really having despite having fallen off a lot compared to like where I was in 2018 and like the community getting a lot better in general. I feel like I managed to prep pretty well. Again, I was already pretty familiar with 64 and I just got in like a was it like 7th place in 242, something like that. So I was definitely getting up there in terms of Galaxy 2, and then the other. So it was just Galaxy 1 and Sunshine I mainly focused on, and I got some decent times in both. And then I just went in there and definitely overperformed my expectations. I managed to get 4th place in the first ever 602 race I was in. Because, like
Hmm.
I said, my first actual 602. ended up not being in the race. So the first time I participated in the race, I got fourth and a 21, which was like a really difficult time, I would say, to get at the time. So I was like, wow, okay, that actually went really well. So that kind of got me stuck to Multi Mario for a while, for sure. Like, because there's an alternate timeline here where I do not end up coming back to the 62. Maybe I just run a bit of Galaxy 2 and call it quits there. Or maybe I just like the prep doesn't go that well. I don't find it that fun, and I like take another 3 years off of doing it. Like after last time, where I got pretty burnt out afterwards. But that did not happen. I did really well. I got a 21, and now it's 3 years later, and I still play multi Mario. So yeah,
Yep. I mean, that's a big improvement. What, 3 hours? So
yeah, 3 hour improvement. I was at 24:55, and then I got like a 21 something in 21s. So it was pretty cool. Now we get to 2022, where I decided I'm going to grind Super Mario Galaxy 2 Green Stars. Because I looked at that, I was like, hmm, I have a 307. The world record is a 303. This world record is like a couple years old. I like greens. I should grind this. So I started grinding, and because the way I decided to tackle this, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get really good. We're gonna have to reinvent the wheel. We're gonna have to learn all the hardest strats. So naturally, you know how that eventually ends up. Like we've all seen the Ninja Day strategy. You start off being like not being able to get anywhere. Um and just not PBing despite showing much potential. But then finally, you string together a run, and my first PB after like playing for like 2 months straight was a 304, which 3 minute improvement, only 1 minute off the world record, and I was like, okay, it's showtime. I got this. Time to lock in and get that world record. So I believe it takes like another month ish. Now we're like going to March 2022, and yeah, I just have a run where everything came together for me at the level I was at the time, and I managed to clutch out the world record by like 10 seconds, something like that, and I
hmm,
get like my first ever non-ROM hack world record in a full game of a speedrun, and it was like a really cool moment.
yeah, you always
So
remember
yeah,
your
that's
first.
yeah, that's true. You always remember your first. So that's like how I ended up from not caring about Galaxy 2 at all and being bad at it to ending up having a world record in Green Stars. It was like kind of a gradual few bursts of improvements in Galaxy 2 that just eventually led me into getting there. And around the same time, the first edition of Multi Mario Tournament called 3D Mario Menace took place, which you might have heard of from other Multi Mario people.
Hmm. It doesn't ring a
You
bell,
want to
but maybe
Yeah, I
someone's
feel like
mentioned it.
it might ring a bell, but essentially, it's a tournament with all six like mainline console 3D Mario games, which is the 602 games plus 3D World and Odyssey, and you basically the basic concept was to spin a wheel with different categories for those games, and then
Yeah.
you
Okay. Yeah.
at the start of the game, and then you play whatever category. So it was a 16-man bracket. I think I went in being third seed, which again is kind of crazy
Yeah.
considering a few months earlier I was like not a multi Mario person at all. I just like was half decent at Galaxy 2. I just decided to lock in, and somehow I was now third seed in this tournament. So I started off with a I want to say fairly comfortable round of 16 win. I got like I think played 64, and before, so in newer versions of the tournament, each category is like a version of the any% category, except for 64, which is like 70 star, because doing 1 star would be kind of painful. It was very short. So, yeah. But this time it was a bit different. So it was 64 120, funnily enough. So I did go through and win that, and then my quarterfinal game, which was against the Fire Goes Fast, I believe, and he was really good at both 64 and Sunshine, while I had the advantage in the Galaxy games. So basically, the wheel was just like a 50-50 over who would who would win. So it was definitely interesting. It's something that can happen at those tournaments where it's just like washes depending what game you get, which is a bit disappointing and probably like the biggest flaw of the design of that tournament, which I say as someone who has been a part organizer of later editions of that tournament. So I think I'm allowed to criticize it without sounding like an ass. So yeah, I did end up winning that match because we rolled. I believe it was Galaxy. So yeah, I ended up in the semifinals now, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. And this tournament was actually sponsored and had like a lot of prize money that we managed to get. Like the first edition of the tournament by far had the most prize money. I think first place was $602, which is a reference,
Is
and
it?
second place was three. And second place was $300. So I was like, there is a lot on the line here. And I faced off against Fizz. Huge fight shout outs to Fizz. He's one of my homies. He's really cool. I should go follow Fizz on Twitch if you can. I'm not sure if he speedruns much at the moment, but if he ever does, make sure to check him out. Basically, he was a 64 runner and started getting into multi Mario, getting really good, really fast, and he was like 14th, 15th seed or something like that, and he just like managed to fluke his way all the way to the semifinals. But his amazing run did end there as we rolled Galaxy and I won and made it to the final, which where I faced off against Army in a best of
Oh
three,
no.
where I lost both rounds, but I was just like in shock that I made it to the final and won $300 of prize money for like something I'd done in a couple children's video games.
You can finally call yourself a professional in children's video
Yeah,
games.
yeah, exactly. So that then we come to summer 2022. If you remember from Hax's episode, he might have talked about the legendary 1545 race run of Team Magenta. I was in that team as well. I was part of that insane run to like update anyone who doesn't know. Essentially, the 1545 race is a multi-community relay race between like Mario, Splash, and what else is there's a couple other games, rare games. Oh, sorry, I'm getting a phone call. Just a quick moment.
Okay. No, you're good. You can take it. Um, I know it's 602. What? Crash Spyro? Trying to remember. And then like Donkey Kong 64's got to be one. The Banjo games. I hope I'm saying this right. I'm gonna look it up while I'm thinking about it, since we got some time. Here we are. Mario 602, the Rarer 301, Splash Vector. I don't know what that means.
Okay, I am back.
Oh, okay. I,
So
I was just trying to explain what
1545.
the
Okay,
1545 was. I was trying to
okay,
remember all
yeah,
the
that sounds
games.
good. Yeah, I like barely can remember them. It's so
Yeah,
many.
I assume it's like DK64, the Banjo games,
Yeah, yeah, that's it for the
Spyro,
rare.
Crash,
Crash and the 602
602. Yeah,
games. Yeah,
something
yeah,
something like that.
that sounds right. But yeah, basically, I think the 2022 race was the largest scale one they've ever had. They had 8 teams participating, I think. and we, based on some of PBs, were projected to get last.
Yeah.
But we had an insane run. Everyone like either PBing or getting really close to PB, and we ended up getting second place. And it was like a really close margin. We almost won, and
Mhm.
that could have been like the most insane underdog story in like speedrunning history. Kind of would have got insane. But I ran both 64 and Galaxy 2 for that. In 64, I think I had a 159 at the time, and I was like 10 seconds off my PB. So that was really
Damn.
good. And I got a new PB in Galaxy 2, 242 stars. I got a 903, which is, yeah, by summer 2022, I'd gotten even better at Galaxy 2, obviously, because I've been playing green, so I decided to play the other categories as well.
Mhm.
So I started getting really close to sub 9, as you can tell, and I did spend a little bit of time in 2022 trying to get sub 9, but eventually I just gave up. I think at the time it was like a bit too big of a task for me. It's kind of like it really is a legendary time. That's like I think only did was hardcore the only person who had sub 9 at the time when I was trying for it, or no? I think Jay had also gotten it then. Maybe it was like two people who had it. I think it was before Audrey got it. So
Hmm.
yeah, so like I think only two people had it at the time. So it was definitely a very ambitious goal, but I started getting pretty close. But we'll get there later. In the fall of 2022, there was another season of 3D Mario Madness tournament. I won't go as in depth on that, but I think I got like I think I went out in the quarterfinals. I think I faced Onmi a bit early, which if you
Yeah.
face Onmi,
A
it's just
death
over.
sentence, yeah.
So yeah, that's just a death sentence. So it's basically that happened. And then it was the fall again. I didn't do 602 that summer. I think I was on vacation when it was happening, so I decided not to do it. But I came back for the winter one, and this time you might have thought that the winter 2021 602 was impressive for me at that time, but in winter 2022, I managed something even crazier. I got second place and a 2028, which was
Hmm.
absolutely insane time for at the time. That was third place on the 602 leaderboards, and it was probably my peak in terms of like 602 skill in comparison to other runners, I would say. Like, if you say comparatively. Because that was before Rudio got really, really good, which has basically eclipsed everyone
Hmm.
before him. But yeah, I did get that time, and then I was like, wait, that's only half an hour of sub 20. Maybe I should go for that at some point.
Hmm.
It kind of foreshadows what happens later. But yeah, it was a really good run. I like improved a lot in all of the games I had played, and yeah, 2022 was just like a pretty good year overall for me in terms of speedrunning, and I improved a lot in everything multi Mario related. And yeah, oh yeah, I guess from the race, I should mention a pretty legendary moment. So I think I was a third or fourth in the sheet going in. Like the sheet like ranks everyone's by sum of PB, so you can like see kind of what the competition is going into the race, right?
Hmm.
Claire, who's been the second best runner for a pretty long time. Now I would say like maybe Rodio's better, but for a long time Claire was the second best. She forfeited that race. So basically, the long time third best 602 runner for years at that point was Flygon Man. So it was basically me and Flygon fighting for the third place back then. And it was really close. But Flygon wasn't having the best run, so I did manage to get ahead of him. And the moment I got ahead of him, I started a kind of toxic 602 tradition, which is counting in someone else's chat when you pass them.
Count.
Which Yeah, it's a bit toxic. But we were friends, so it wasn't like I hate you thing. It was more like just
Friendly
a bit of a
toxicity, you know.
friend. Yeah, a bit more a banter thing. I mean, he found it funny, so but I was a bit that went on for a while after that. So definitely thought that would be fun. And speaking of other good 6-2 rivalries, I didn't mention my rivalry with Hex. I think that kind of I should actually mention that now talking about rivalries again. So in the 2021 Winter 602, we were pretty close for most of the race, and that was like around the time where we actually started becoming friends and like didn't have beef anymore. So we were just kind of vibing the whole 602. And this was also the 602 he had COVID, so he wasn't doing great. So we just like there, chilling, supporting each other. And that's like one of the beautiful things about the 602 is sometimes just like vibing and hanging out with your friends while you're playing games for an unreasonably long time.
The vibes.
Yeah, literally, that's literally like one of the main reasons to do it. Like even if you're not good at Mario, just like hanging out with your friends who are running a 602. It's quite a great thing that I really enjoy doing.
Hmm.
So yeah,
I'll have to consider it someday. That day
and
would
we
be
did.
not anytime soon, ever at all. But
Yeah, and that's so valid. I don't want to pressure anyone into doing a 602 because once you start, you're just no way to get out of the addiction.
yeah, so far I have a 230 and 120 star, and that's it. I w- so almost there.
Yeah, just three more games, I
Three
think you
more
can do it.
games.
You got like 3.5 months until the next 602 race. You got time.
I'm good actually. I'll take a rain check for the
Yeah.
next like 6 of them anyway.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And the first time me and Hex faced off in a tournament match was in the second season of 3D Mario Madness, which I think was Sunshine that we ended up playing. And yeah, it was a good match. And we started this bit that I'm like, because he's like got this main character syndrome bit. So I'm like, I'm his Gary Oak, basically. Because like every time up until then when we face each other, I like always be like one step ahead of him and beat him. So he's like, haha, I'm Gary Oak, and I like make fun of each other for that. He did beat me later in 3DM season 3, which I guess can get out of the way now, which was in 2023. That time I like choked really badly in Sunshine and lost, but it was still kind of funny because I dropped a Google Doc on him the day before the race, where I just like made like an edit of this like Shadow the Hedgehog's bitch ass. Well, maybe I shouldn't swear on the podcast, but
It's
you know
fine.
that meme,
Yeah.
the Sonic fandom meme, and I was like, it was really funny. So I think I won in terms of comedy. So basically, I still won, even though I lost the
Yeah,
race.
okay.
You know.
Makes
So
sense.
basically, unbeaten record continues.
Hmm.
Just don't tell. I said this. I don't. We don't need to be talking about the actual race result. That's fine. Um, but yeah, other than that, I started like slowly chipping off the sub 20 grind, but we're not really there yet. I did do a 6-2 in the summer of 2023, but I did not beat my previous PB. So that was like my first off 602 where I like decided like, okay, I just gotta power through this despite not PBing and not feel that urge to improve and just hang out with my friends. So it was definitely like a new experience and cool to kind of try out that as well. Like, things don't always go your way. Sometimes it slips out of your hands, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Then, other than that, by far the biggest thing that happened in 2023 to me, speedrunner wise, was the legendary sub 9 Super Mario Galaxy 2 242 stars.
Hmm.
That was probably the biggest thing. Uh, I've been going for it for months, and then finally it just came together. I started that run like really late. It was like I want to say 7:30 p.m. my time, which means I was done at like 4:30 a.m. And it was just like
Hmm.
I wasn't sure if it's gonna have the energy to finish, but I just powered it through, and I was just so locked in at the perfect run, which is yeah, the ending star 242, and the nerves are always extremely high. But I managed to clutch it out, and that was second place at the time, 8:58:07. Now I'm third because Ami bought me back. But yeah,
Hmm.
that was kind of an insane run, and I was probably the most happy I've ever been at the end of a speed run because I don't think anything can beat like beating a goal like that. That's so like big, and it's like it's such a long run. It was just
Mm-hmm.
like an amazing feeling.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Speaking of Galaxy 2 runs, I completely forgot to mention the what happened with the Greens world record stuff in early 2022. I didn't mention I got the world record. I lost it like 2 weeks later to Keegan, who was the guy I faced in the any percent tournament like a year earlier. Then in June, I bopped him back, took the world record back with 301 this time. So,
Mm.
didn't fall off too quickly. But then, like, a week later, Jay bopped me. And if you know anything about Jay, he's basically like the goat of Galaxy, I would probably say. He's
Mm-hmm.
held 9 out of 9. He's the latest person to have held 9 out of 9 world records throughout both Galaxy games, which is not the case anymore, but it wasn't that long ago he had it, and he still has the greens world record to this day. Now sub 3 greens is a thing, which is something we're going to be coming to later.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, at the end of 2023, I did do another 6-2. This time I got a 20:07, so only 7 minutes away from the another legendary time, the sub 20.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was the 62 where Rudio got sub 20, so 3 people have gotten it now. We're still waiting for the fourth person to do it, which hopefully will be next 602.
Hmm.
We can hope. If it's not me, then maybe someone else. And then this year, we're finally to 2024. I've had a long career, apparently. But yeah, I decided to come back to running a bit of greens because I still hadn't improved my PB from 2022. So like about a month ago, I'd say, I got a 3:00:31, which is yeah, 30 seconds off sub 3 greens. The world record is a high 2:58, so not as sure about like having the patience to grind for the world record, but it's in between the realm of possibility if I really had the strength to do it. So I'm pretty happy with my progress for there. As for the 602, I did do the one in the summer, but I ended up forfeiting a 602 for the first time in my life. It hadn't gone that well, and I just decided, you know what? I really want to sleep, man.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not gonna PB, might
Yeah,
as well sleep.
and I'm actually kind of glad I decided to do that 'cause for a long time it's kind of in my head. Oh, I have to finish every 602 I do. It's just the thing you do. But it's like sometimes it's okay to give up. It's okay to throw in the towel. Be like, oh, it didn't go well this time. It's fine. We'll do it another time. I definitely think if you're like speedrunning at a fairly high level, it's pretty easy to get yourself to a mentality of like, oh, if my speedrun's not going well, then there's like no value in it and no reason to have fun. But that's like you need to remember that you can't always be making improvement. The progress is not linear. Sometimes you'll be skyrocketing in the ranks and like improving super fast. Other times you go months and it feels like you're just stagnating. But like the beauty of speedrunning is more like just like the process in it's like the way that and it's like the journey and not the destination. We're gonna be a bit cliche. Like obviously the PVs are the big moments, but the big moments are not what takes up most of your time. What takes up most of your time is like when you learn a really new cool strat and you like manage to implement it into your run, or you like have a really memorable race or in a tournament or something, or just like hang out with your friends while you're um, fearing something, and there's just and like the community with like discovering new strats and just there's just so much to it other than just improving your pure numbers, and I think that's something you can forget sometimes, especially if you've been speeding for a while. And I feel like it's something to like you might want to ground yourself sometimes and remind yourself like it's okay if I'm not constantly improving.
Yeah. Wisdom.
Yeah, I have gained some wisdom, and oh my god, it's been 9 years since I started speedrunning.
Yeah. You've been doing it longer than me.
When
So
did you start again?
it
Was it
was
like
like October.
COVID?
No, it was October like 2017.
Okay, yeah, it's still pretty long time.
Yeah, no, I'm old. I know.
Yeah,
This is just how
I'm
it
like
is.
I'm like ancient in terms of speedrun servers. I'm like at the point where I've been speedrunning for so long that most people that were around when I started like have not been near the community for years.
Yeah, it's gotta be interesting.
Yeah, I definitely think like most people. I mean, some people are still around. But I would say probably the majority of people I know I started around when COVID came,
Yeah, I
or
think
at least like came back to it during COVID if they like been into it but not cared.
most people I met early on are still around. Luckily, I haven't had too many
Oh, this is nice.
bye
Yeah,
forevers, but real bye
yeah,
forevers, as the
yeah.
meme goes. But
I would say I still like have a decent group of people that I know and like started getting to know around 2018 when I first like returned to Galaxy and then like played Undertale as well. I was a little bit of everywhere in 2018, so definitely still know quite a bit of people from back then. So yeah, it's really cool. I definitely still have quite a bit of friends from that era. But now we also got a lot of new ones added to the mix. So yeah,
yeah,
it's pretty
nothing wrong
cool.
with more people.
Yeah,
Please
that's true.
join.
Please start
Get
speedrunning.
get addicted with us.
Yes, I love addiction. But yeah, where I'm at now with speedrunning, I would say I'm at a little bit of an off period. I've been playing. I mean, yeah, I did get a Greens PB a month ago, but I'm not like doing runs every day anymore. I'm kind of at the point where I'm like, getting this time would be nice, and but I haven't been feeling like doing that much runs lately. IRL's been fairly busy with both uni and then like other real life activities. I had a job this summer as well, and like been out with friends quite a bit and stuff like that, and stuff left like both less time and motivation to speedrun. So I'm not really at the point right now where I'm like in a grind set, but I don't think it's impossible for me to get back into that. Like the 602 is in 3.5 months. Maybe in like a month I'll start getting fired up if I see others doing preparation, and then I might be back there again. So yeah, you never know. Haven't fully decided yet if I'm doing the next one because it's also nice to give yourself a break, especially when it's like a long category, right? Like that. It's really nice to like let yourself just take a little break. But yeah, so it's a bit up in the air. I might go back to a bit more grindy, but right now I'm definitely enjoying playing a bit less than I used to because speedrunning, if you think about it, really is quite the time sink, especially if you're running like a 9 hour category or even like a 3 hour category. That's like quite a bit of the day if you like gotta if you're a busy person with a lot of things to do. So I think that's one thing to keep in mind when you're doing speedrunning is it just takes so much of your time if you wanna be at the top level, and it can be really hard to keep up. So that's probably like the main negative with speedrunning. I would probably say.
Yeah, so we have arrived at present day.
Yeah, finally. It took a
We
while.
are here.
Yeah, long history to go through right there. I probably forgot some things, but I'm pretty happy with this summary.
Hmm.
I would say.
Well, I do want to talk about like live events.
Oh yeah, I've
Because
been to those. I completely forgot about it. I just thought about my speedrunning.
hey,
Oh yeah,
that's me
let's
doing
talk
my
about.
part in the podcast. So.
Yeah, I just thought about speedrunning related things. I mean, this events are speedrunning related, but they're like hanging out with my speedrunning friends more than actually speedrunning. But yeah,
Sure, yeah.
go on.
But yeah, I mean, it's still an important part of the journey, you know. It's
Yeah,
my personal favorite part of speedrunning is being able
I
to.
100% agree.
Mhm. So,
That's definitely something that like when I was still a teenager and like then during COVID, that was like something that was unthinkable to me. Like going to a speedrunning event, just like never really something that been in the conversations between like me and my friend groups. But then like 2022, COVID restrictions start relaxing a little bit. I think the first event I considered going to was ESA Winter 2022, which was in February. And yeah, for those who don't know, ESA is like the biggest speedrunning event in Europe, and it's held in Malmö in Sweden, which it sounds like it would be close for me because it's the same country, but Sweden is a very long
it's long,
country,
yeah.
and it's I live in the north, so I'm
Unfortunate.
there's no direct flights. There's no if I take the train, it would probably be like 12 hours by train.
Oh, good God.
So basically, what I have to do is fly to Stockholm and then from Stockholm to Copenhagen. And then, like, ESA is like really close to the Copenhagen airport. So it's
Mm.
not that far, all things considered, but it's still like, it's still quite a bit considering you would think if it's in the same European country
Mm.
as you, it wouldn't be that far. But no, there
Because
are some European countries that are pretty big.
yeah, you as an American, you kind of assume most European countries are like the size of a state.
Yeah,
But I mean, we
yeah,
have some big states. I mean, California's pretty long,
yeah. I
so
think Sweden is like, if you put it on a map, I think it is actually really similar to the size of California, just
yeah, I
like a
mean,
little thicker, I guess.
sure. So, and that is
It's about the same
that is
size as
a
California.
lengthy boy. So, yeah,
Yeah,
makes sense.
it's kind of like if you live in the very north of California and you're going to an event that's like in San Diego,
Yeah,
then
like
it's like
TwitchCon coming
it's something like that.
next week, next weekend.
Yeah. Oh my God, TwitchCon. But yeah, I ended up not going to the first ESA winter. I wasn't really like able to make. I mean, I was the only 19 at the time. My parents weren't super on board with it, and I hadn't like really brought it up in time to like get them on board, which was a shame because I'd submitted a run and like gotten in with Undertale neutral, but
Oh, you got
ended up
in.
not
Oh,
running.
yeah.
So I had to cancel that. But I did finally go for ESA Summer 2022, which was a lot of fun. Uh, if I like compare it to events I got to later, it's probably the one that was like the least fun for me. But I was just
Hmm.
like, I didn't really come out of my shell as much. Yeah, and it's definitely like a bit more shy, and it's like very new to like meeting speedrunners IRL. And yeah, I was pretty young. I was only 19 at the time, so it was kind of like, yeah, definitely had more time to develop for later. But I did inadvertently start a very amazing tradition that our ESA group does. So there's this karaoke bar in Malmö called Azali. I suggested going to it because I heard about because someone else had like written about it in the ESA server. So what ended up happening was me and my ESA friend group ended up going there. We absolutely loved it there. So every single ESA event since then, we have gone to that karaoke bar at least once.
Well, there you go. You gotta have those
So
traditions.
yeah, it's actually we've been like several times in one ESA a few times as well. It's like, okay, are we drinking tonight? If yes, go karaoke.
If yes, gotta get out the flow chart.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
If yes, go
So,
here. If no, go here anyway.
yeah, literally. So I ended up going to like four ESAs in a row. I then went to Winter 23, which was a pretty cool event as well. That was Return of the Karaoke Bar. I did commentary live on our Jay's Galaxy 2 run, and we had like one of the best bits in speedrunning event history. A very legendary clip where basically the crowd, which was just our friends because the run was like at 3 a.m.,
Mm-hmm.
did like a really funny practical joke on us where uh, so Jay likes making some bad puns sometimes. So
Mm-hmm.
someone donated with the message like, "Can you tell us a joke?" And the one joke he would always say was like, "So what's a speedrunner's favorite food? Fast food."
Yeah, just the worst
So he
thing ever.
said
Yeah.
that. So he said that, and what we didn't know is these guys had coordinated a bit without it knowing. So when he said that joke, they all just left. And me, like us commentating, were just completely baffled. We were like, "What? Why did everyone leave? What the?"
Yeah, I do remember the clip.
Oh my god, it was so good.
That did make the
So that
rounds. It
was
was pretty good.
yeah. So that was probably one of my most memorable ESA moments in terms of the actual event. And I will say, one good thing with ESA is like they have like a big arcade at the venue where you can play a bunch of games. There's just a lot to do at the venue, even if like you're not watching runs, which is really cool in my
Yeah, it sounds a
opinion.
lot like GDQ, just a little bit
Yeah,
smaller, I guess.
yeah, it's kind of like somewhere in between GDQ and Pace in terms of size.
Yeah, yeah. So
I would say,
all of those visits, did you have a run in?
no, I still have not done a run myself. The thing is, my schedule is a bit hard to plan in advance, so a lot of the
Yeah.
time I didn't like dare to submit a run because I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can go yet. And then it turns out I can't go. It's like, oh, so no, I still actually have not done a run at a live event, but I have
Wow.
gotten to do commentary, which I think is like pretty close to actually doing a run. I mean,
Commentary
I
is important,
have,
yeah.
yeah, and I have also gotten to, do 1 star in the 64 120 relay that was at
True.
pace this summer. So there is that.
I remember
But
that
yeah,
quite well because I had to wait 5 minutes before I could do my star.
oh my
I
god,
was
what
right
was your
after.
star?
It was a TTC 100, which it was right after Wing
Oh
Mario over the
no.
rainbow, if you remember.
Oh yeah, I remember watching that guy. He was trying to like do the fancy movement. He just kept falling.
So I was just on
Oh my
stage
god.
for like over 5 minutes. I think it
Yeah,
was more like 8 minutes. I don't know how long it was, but I was just like,
yeah. Oh my
I
goodness.
ended up sitting in a chair and just was like,
Yeah.
and
Oh
but relay was
no.
good. Liked the relay.
Yeah, it was a fun relay.
What started
Uh,
was you?
I was THI hundreds. I
Okay, so
think
pretty late in.
I was a backup, so I got a pretty hard start. And THI hundreds like one of my least favorite stars. And
Yeah, that's
also,
not easy.
I had to play. I usually play on an emulator where I use a GameCube controller. So I had to learn how to play on a Hori, which was
Mm.
really difficult with like matching the camera buttons. So
Also, the input lag on that monitor was kind of cringe.
yeah, but somehow I actually had a pretty solid run throughout that hundred. Despite having some absolutely horrible runs when I was practicing, I like got it pretty well on stage. So I'm pretty happy about that. Didn't have a shit show or anything. It was
Yeah,
pretty clean.
overall, it went well, but
Yeah.
definitely
Let's
some
see. What other
stories in
events?
there.
Yeah, there was ESA Summer 23, which was I think for the later ESAs, I definitely started like being more a hanging out with friends thing more than like being there to like watch runs. Because then at that point, oh, I've already met most people at this event before, so now it's just like, oh, we're meeting up to hang out again. Hell yeah, and be a bit more of that kind. So definitely started having more fun generally at the events then when like knew a lot of the people better and were closer to them and like more comfortable hanging out with online people in an IRL space.
Mhm.
So and then the last ESA I was at was Winter 24. I couldn't go to last summer because of my aforementioned summer job, so I did make some good money, which I think it was worth because I did go to Pace in beginning of June before I started my job, so I think it was a worth trade off. And Pace might have been my favorite speedrunning event I went to. The event itself is pretty bare bones, which is
Mhm.
understandable. It's a small event, like they just have like a venue and then like setups that you can practice on pretty much. But yeah, getting to go to America, really cool. It wasn't the first time I was there, but it was the first time I was like in that part of America because I've been like, everyone jokes that the only states in the U.S. Europeans know are Florida, California, Texas, and New York.
Mm.
I was in Florida in 2017 and California in
Hmm.
2018, so yeah, not really beating the allegations there. Uh,
You were close enough to New York, where we were, I
yeah,
guess. But
I did
yeah.
actually fly into New York because I had like a road trip planned with some other runners, like road trip from New York down
Mm.
to Maryland. So it was really cool. Get to do that, like the true American road trip experience.
Yeah. And you got to
Getting
visit.
to Wawa.
Oh yeah, there you go. The Wawa
Welcome
experience.
to Wawa. And we're like some random restaurant in New Jersey on the way there. It was like kind of a vibe. And I was like, it was like the first night I was there, right? And it was like the food, I was not prepared for the food. My stomach was not doing well.
Hmm.
Like it tasted so good. I think it had this like chicken. Was it like a chicken Alfredo or was it with a? No, I think it didn't have Alfredo sauce. I think I had with marinara, maybe. Yeah, it was really good. And it's like, but yeah, the portion sizes are also really big. I could not finish that plate, and my stomach was still like, oh my god.
Welcome to
So that
America.
was fun. Welcome to America. It was a loud and proud welcome. And yeah, was also, let's see. Yeah, I also got to make fun of New Jersey because they can't pump their own gas there. Wow.
Hmm. What, like
Yeah,
people?
it's literally illegal to pump your own gas. Like they have like a gas
Oh,
station worker that pumps the gas for you.
I learned something new today.
Yeah,
Fascinating. I thought
it's
I
really
know that's like how
fascinating.
gas stations used to be. Like people would do it for you, but illegal
Yeah,
to your interesting.
yeah. It's really strange law that I learned of.
Sure.
Another thing that I did notice pretty quickly about, well, I guess this part of America at least, is it's really warm out even in the evenings. Like I live in northern Sweden, it usually gets fucking cold in the evening, even in the summer. But it's like, what is this tropical shit? It's kind of how it felt
That's
like
not
for me.
even warm area.
Yeah,
You don't
Maryland.
know that
Maryland
that's
is pretty
nothing.
warm in the summer. I mean, it was like
Eh. I guess it does get pretty warm, but
most
that's
days it was
nothing.
like around 30 degrees Celsius, which is what is that like 85 Fahrenheit, something like that. I mean, it wasn't the hottest ever, but it's still like yeah. I
Yeah.
think it was manageable still that it was that warm the whole weekend because there's AC pretty much everywhere indoors. So
Yeah,
we don't have
except
that in Europe. So
now there was one pace where the AC was broken, so
oh no,
we
yeah.
we
Then
did
you get
suffer once, but
the true European summer
you're
experience.
yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunate.
So it was yeah, I did like the weather though. Like it was
Mhm.
mostly sunny, but one time we were like stuck at a casino because there was a tornado warning, so we weren't allowed to go outside,
Oh.
which is kind of crazy.
Uh
So yeah, we're just kind of
huh.
hanging at a casino. I think it was like on the Thursday or something. Was it no? Was it the Wednesday? Because the Thursday
It
was
must have
reviewing. I
been the
think.
day the power went out, or not the power, but like the stream went offline. during a run I was
Yeah,
doing.
that would make sense. That would make sense.
Must have been
But
that
yeah,
night.
that was really cool. I got to go. That was the first time I'd ever gone to a casino, so that's a new experience. I got to try. But yeah, Paige was really awesome. Like because there wasn't that much to do at the venue, we basically tried to do new things every day. So I got
Hmm.
to learn a lot about things to do in America and in rural Maryland. There's actually more to do than you'd think, considering you come to L'Oreal and you're like, what shithole is this?
It is a place that exists. That's for
It
sure.
is definitely a place that exists. But the taco place right next to the Best Western was so good. Oh my god. I don't know if you ever went there.
I didn't know about. I'm not a taco guy anyway, but
Or not taco, but Mexican. Mexican, yeah.
well, yeah, but still, yeah,
I didn't have taco stars, so it just should be
fair
called
enough.
a taco place.
Yeah, that.
But yeah, it was really good. I'm like just so blown away by how good the Mexican food is in America.
Hmm.
That was another thing.
Well,
There
so
was there was a lot of things I learned about America. Like I learned the traffic is absolutely awful.
yes,
That's another
yeah,
thing. Uh,
very
I
true.
learned I learned how to tip when you're in America. Tipping culture is very different.
Mm-hmm.
And it really it confused me a lot the first time when like they like took your card before you wrote how much you're going to tip. I was like, wait, they charge it later?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
That makes no sense. So I was so confused the first time I was like out eating, and I was like, wait, I'm I'm supposed to write the tip on by hand on this receipt? What the fuck? That is not how you tip here. I mean, even if you think about it, tipping culture obviously is different here because like you're not it's not an expected part of like the waiter's wage. So
Mm-hmm.
basically the thing I usually do, like when you pay on the terminal, it tells you the price, but then you can choose how much you actually put in. So usually I just like round up to the nearest number that like looks nice. So it's just, a little bit of tip. That's usually how we do it here, pretty much.
Definitely makes more sense, but
Yeah.
yeah,
What else did I get to try? A lot of things blew me away about America. I got to try Five Guys, really good, but probably not worth how much it cost.
no.
Uh, I got to go to Total Wine, which was insane. I've never seen a liquor store that big in my life. I love that. Liquor stores here usually aren't that big. They're also like we also have like a weird state-owned alcohol monopoly in Sweden. So basically, like the only liquor store that's allowed to sell alcohol over like 3% outside of like bars and clubs is like a state-owned company. So it's like it's very controlled in comparison to. It's weird to say that alcohol is more controlled in Sweden than in America because everyone makes fun of America's 21 drinking age, and yeah, the drinking age is 18 here, but it's 20 for the liquor store, which is a bit of an interesting discrepancy. But yeah, so we definitely have like strict alcohol laws for Europe standards. I would say it's definitely
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah,
So
the
yeah,
differences between how countries do things is always been a little interesting to me.
yeah, yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, so Pace it overall was really fun event. Got to meet so many new people I never thought I got to meet. I got to meet, my goat hex speedruns. All as I talked about it earlier, honestly just like all my goats. There's so many people that went to that event specifically, and it's just so cool. So many people could go at once.
Hmm.
Another one of my goats, Hardcore Gaming '07. I roomed with him. I talked about him that we faced in the Galaxy tournament in 2020. That was before we were friends. We're like really good friends now, and it's really just fun to think about how like that developed and like yeah.
Mm-hmm. Was
Let's
that
see what else.
that's the only like non ESA you've been to?
Yeah, that's
Or
only not ESA went to. My room was full of Europeans. We had a lot of Europeans that went that
a lot of Europeans go to
time.
Pace, which is
Yeah,
pretty
felt like
crazy
a trip
actually.
worth to make. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's the difference is it's a lot more affordable than GDQ. That's
I
probably like the
guess,
main reason.
but there's a reason it's cheaper. It's fucking Laurel,
Yeah,
Maryland. Anyway,
yeah,
don't go
it
there.
is. Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's an interesting place. Which, but yeah, a lot of the daytime activities I did with like my group were also fun. We played wiffle ball a couple of times,
Mm.
which I knew basically nothing about baseball. That doesn't really exist here. We have like a Swedish version of baseball called like burn ball or brännboll in Swedish, which is kind of similar but also very different. It's not like a professionalized sport or
Mm-hmm.
anything like baseball is here. Like I've never seen a MLB game in my life. I don't understand American football either. Just like I only understand the European football or the soccer. Some
Mm-hmm.
of my roommates actually did go to the U.S. was playing Colombia in a friendly. It was like a national team game, so that's pretty cool. Because yeah, close to DC. That's like the one advantage. If you want to like do some sightseeing, you're very close
Mm-hmm.
to DC. So that's one thing. That's an advantage of being in Laurel, Maryland.
And there's not many advantages, so you got to take what you can get.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pace is
But
fun. Would
yeah,
recommend.
we also went ice skating one day. It was pretty cool. I
Mm.
was like, wait, the rink is open in June? I thought they were closed up by now, but
No,
so
they can keep it cold doors.
yeah. I think they usually close it down in the summer here just for like maintenance being like too expensive. But I guess like in some places they'll keep the ice. Yeah. So I actually wasn't expecting that to be a possibility. That was really cool. Yeah, I think I also went bowling and also the casino trip. Yeah, and so yeah, just got to do so many things that week, which is an absolutely packed week. So much fun. Would 100% do it again. I really wish I'll be able to go to Pace again, maybe next summer, because it was just so much fun.
Yep. And maybe you can get something in, Have your
Yeah,
first
true.
live.
Maybe I should submit something.
Hmm.
I'm just like, do I really want to submit Mario Galaxy?
You never know. Be
I mean,
cool if they had an
maybe.
LTA for a Galaxy game sometime. But
That's true. I mean, I guess the reason it's not done it's a smaller community and it's just all like most runs are really long,
yeah,
so it's like
long games. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's
yeah,
gonna have its
it's kind of
downsides.
hard. Yeah, but
But I
yeah,
don't
it
know.
definitely could be cool to see.
Yeah, they're. I'm glad that the first few days of Pace always have like different a different series of games, so
Yeah,
you can see a ton of
no, I
different
did watch
content.
some runs at Pace. It was pretty cool. Oh, that reminds me of another thing. The walk from the hotel to the venue is like the most sus thing of all time,
Yeah, and uh, yeah, yeah. I don't have much to say other than yeah, just
especially when it's
unfortunate.
dark. It's like
It
oh
is
my god,
legitimately
yeah, going
dangerous.
through going through a construction zone. Like I could be murdered there and like no one would notice.
Well, it was a pathway at one point, and then they made it a
Yeah.
construction site,
Okay.
and then just are not doing anything with it by the looks of it because it's been that
Uh
way for 2 years.
yeah.
So I don't know. That whole area is just what
Laurel, Maryland.
Laurel. I fucking
It's
love
so
Laurel.
weird. It's so weird because like there's a lot of stuff going on the street, like up until we get to the sleep in, and then just past the sleep in, there's just nothing.
Yeah,
Weird.
but Other than that, pace is good.
Yeah, yeah, I recommend going to Pace. Yeah, sus venue, but really cheap event. Lots of cool people, especially if you're into Mario. It's 100% worth
Yeah.
going. Like, I understand if you're like not very well versed with the Mario speedrunners, you might be like less inclined to go. But like, there are
Hmm.
non-Mario runners as well. A lot of Sonic runners in that go. I know,
Yeah.
for example. Uh, but yeah, a lot of people who are like in different communities like to prefer GDQ, which does make sense if you have less friends going.
I definitely
Like,
would recommend GDQ over it, and
yeah, if I had the exact same people going to both, I'd probably rather go to GDQ. But
yeah, no,
since
yeah,
Pace has more of the people I know, I went to Pace instead. Pretty much.
yep. Well, I guess that covers the live event topic pretty
Yeah,
well. I really don't know. I think you've covered pretty much everything. Have you done
yeah.
online events
Online event, yeah,
that you
a
didn't talk about?
few. I guess. I wouldn't say like any huge ones, but like
Yeah.
twice a year we always have like a ROM hack marathon for 64. I've been in that a lot of times. Uh, this spring we had a event raising money for people going to Pace called Final Departures. It was like
Hmm.
back in March, so that was pretty fun. I ran Undertale at that. Let's see. I think I run at I run Super Mario Galaxy 2 to 42 stars for a really longathon, which is a speedrunning marathon that specializes on really long speedruns.
Yeah,
As
that
you can
thing's like
tell
a
from the
month
name.
long, and some of the runs are like
Yeah,
days long
yeah,
sometimes.
it is kind of crazy. And I've also played a ROM hack at Fan Game Marathon, which is like a bit more focused on all fan is hosted by like the I Want to Be the Guy fan games community. So I've been in that once as well. So yeah,
Hmm.
a little bit diversity with events there as well. So yeah,
So, is that the full history of you and speedrunning, you'd
yeah,
say?
that
Yeah.
is pretty much the full history of all I could think about right now. Obviously, there's probably more stories that might have not been told today, but there is. I've just like been doing this for such a large part of my life. If I could take that percentage, let's see. I turned 22 very recently. I started speedrunning when I was 13. So that's 9 out of my 22 years. That's for 40% of my life. I've been speedrunning,
Good lord.
which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, that is a wild statistic.
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait till I get there, although
Oh
I'd have
my
to be
god.
like 36 or something
Yeah.
because I started when I was like 18. But oh well.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, when I'm 26, I'll be doing it for half my life. So that's 4 more years.
I got a while. Anyway, um yeah, I guess the last thing to talk about is like future plans in the scene.
Hmm. Yeah, I did get into that a little bit slightly. So obviously, like two main goals that I haven't gotten yet that I've alluded to a little bit is well, sub 3 greens, which is probably the most reasonable one to might be coming soon. Because that's the category I ran most recently. It would be nice to get that. I haven't run for a few weeks now, but maybe I'll get some more time motivation. I had a lot of stuff with uni recently, so a bit less time just now recently. Like, I'm surprised my voice is held up for this entire podcast because Thursday night I was doing a slightly belated birthday celebration where I like rented a karaoke room for 1 hour. So first was that, and then I was also out Friday night and Saturday night because I had like some events planned all on the same weekend. So it was a bit of a rough weekend. I had to go home pretty early last night because I was so tired. I was just not there anymore. But yeah, hopefully, uh, there should be more time for some good old Mario pretty soon because it tends to be pretty intensive towards the start of the semester with like different events being hosted and such in terms of uni. Uh, let's see what else. Yeah, so I also mentioned wanting to get sub 2602. That's the other main goal. My PB say 2007. If the motivation is there for me this fall, I will start de-rusting maybe in a month or two for 602 games and go for another push for the sub 20, be the fourth person to ever do it. But if not, that's fine. I could wait till next summer to do it as well. Like, I think one thing you need to realize, like, you're not in a rush to improve your time. Ultimately, speedrunning is a competition against yourself,
Mm-hmm.
you'll find time when you find time and motivation. I don't think you should push yourself when you're not really feeling up to it, or if you're busy with IRL. Like, I think if you're pushing speedrunning too hard while you also got a busy IRL, it's very easy to get yourself burnt out on like everything in life and just like really stressed out. And I've definitely been there a couple of times before, and then you kind of have to remember sometimes you gotta prioritize a bit and chill a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, other than that, I mean, there's always a chance I run Undertale again. I don't think like I try to like go for world record again because I think my days of grinding that game at a top level probably over. Like I don't really feel like going through the reset roulette of ruins again and then choke to some frame perfect skip that you lose to run if you miss. So
Yeah. Understandable.
but maybe at some point I'll come back. It's still a really fun speed game, and it's definitely something I could see myself like showing off at events because it's actually a decently short speed game, so it's definitely a nice marathon run to show off. So
Mm-hmm.
for that, I could definitely run it more, but I don't know about serious grinding, like maybe a PB or two, but that's what they all say, and then they start grinding. So
Yeah.
maybe you'll see me back in ruins. You never know. But now it's been a couple years since I seriously grinded another tail. So, but yeah, other than that, I'm like, I'm not planning to fully quit speedrunning anytime soon, but I definitely see myself in the future maybe spending less time overall on it just because like I'm getting older, and I've been speedrunning for so long. I've done most things I want to do other than like the sub 20, the 602, and sub 3 greens. Other than that, I'm really happy with my speedrunning career. And so, yeah, I think it's fine. But I'm definitely planning to stick around in the community. Definitely planning to keep attending speedrunning events because it's so much fun. So I think you'll definitely see more of me, whether it's on or off stream, especially if I decide that this fall is time for the 602 grind. Then you'll see more of me on my Twitch. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Other than that, not speedrun related, if anyone watching is a fan of Ace Attorney, at some point this fall, I think I'm gonna be playing through Ace Attorney 3, Trials and Tribulations, for the first time. I played the first two games on stream in like January, February this year, and I had a lot of fun with them. But then I like went back to a bit of speedrunning mode, so I didn't finish the third game. But I might be going back to that fairly soon. So if you're a fan of that, yeah, maybe also a little bit of variety for me besides speedrunning, which is kind of rare, but happens sometimes. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much it.
Got it. Well, I guess we can end things off here. You can promote things if you haven't yet.
Yeah, my Twitch is just Galaxtic. Should be
Let me
pretty
do the shout out
simple to
commands.
find. Twitter is just Galactic underscore underscore. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it with speedrun related socials. Unless you want to check out my speedrun.com profile, it's Galactic. You know, always nice to see that one as well.
Sure. All right. Well, I think we're done here then. So,
Yeah,
GG's.
yeah, GG's.
GG's. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. Check out the YouTube, check out the Twitch, watch the podcasts live or in the
Let's go.
past. We got content for you, plenty of it.
Yeah, lots of episodes. If
Maybe
you
too
haven't
many,
seen them
but
yet,
but it doesn't matter.
you
They
can
won't
you
stop.
can yeah, you can never complain about not enough content at least.
Yeah, we're going strong over here. But
Hell
yeah,
yeah.
but yeah. With that, peace out. Take care. Have a good one, and goodbye.
Yeah. Thanks for letting
Bye.
me come on.
Yeah,
It
no
was a
problem.
pleasure.
Thanks for expressing interest. Always appreciate people who want to be on.
Yeah.
Makes my job easier. So,
Yeah. It's fair enough.
all right. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.